Hey everyone, welcome back to the Keep Watching podcast, where we decide what to watch so you don't have to. I'm James.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be talking about Carmen Sandiego. Sarah, how you doing?
Yeah.
What you been watching?
I'm doing all right. Let's see, what have I been watching? Ooh, okay. So I have been watching a show that just came out on Netflix called 1899. It is made by the same people who made, it's a German show called Dark, which is a bunch of crazy timey-wimey stuff. And I haven't finished that show, but I'd like to. But this one just came out and seemed interesting, and I didn't have to remember a bunch of what happened before because it's actually not related to the other show, just made by the same people. So I started watching that. And it is the year 1899, and people are on a big, ship, think the Titanic crossing the Atlantic. And shenanigans happen. And it's mysterious and weird, and I have no idea what's going on, but it's enjoyable. And that's what I've been watching this week.
Okay. A mind-bending riddle unfolds for its bewildered passengers. Okay.
You're just ready to go with the descriptions of everything.
Well, I went to Netflix. The picture of this show is I guess they're at the Bermuda Triangle or something.
There's a lot of pyramid imagery in this show that I really have no idea what it means yet, but hopefully I'll find out. Probably 3 seasons.
It looks like there's
now.
a giant triangular shaped hole in the middle of the ocean, and water's just falling down in a waterfall.
Oh yeah. They do have a lot of stylistic stuff in the credits and in the promotional images.
Okay.
Has not as of yet happened in the show. Who knows?
Gotcha,
I have 4 more episodes to go in the first season. So
number 2 in TV shows today.
Well, there you go.
It's fresh and new, and Netflix is showing it off.
Pretty much. So yeah.
Nice.
What about you? What have you been up to?
I haven't been watching much. What I have been watching is an anime on Netflix called Tiger and Bunny.
Okay.
Which is essentially an X-Men style world where being a hero is a job. But at the same time, it's also a reality TV game show competition where they air the heroes in action, and then they get points for saving people and capturing bad guys.
But are they real bad guys and real people that need to be saved, or is
maybe.
it all manufactured for entertainment?
Hey, that's a great question.
Okay.
That is a great question.
All right, I got to the crux of the show. Nice.
Yeah. No, I would not recommend it for you, Sarah, but if there are anime fans out there, I'm enjoying it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, nothing else I've been watching. I think, Sarah, though, we should just go through what our upcoming schedule is in terms of what we'll be covering on the podcast. We usually do this at the end.
Yes.
But let's just do it now.
But we have some timely things happening, yeah.
Let's just do it now. We just had Thanksgiving, so it's the holiday season.
Mm-hmm. It's officially allowed to be Christmas time now.
Oh, you're okay with that now? Okay.
Yes. Before Thanksgiving, no, it's Thanksgiving time. Now it is Christmas time.
The only holiday-related show on our lists right now, and has been since we started the podcast, is Hawkeye, which is weird.
Christmassy.
Weird that it's a Christmassy holiday season themed show that came out last holiday season.
Yes.
But you haven't seen that, so I think this is the time.
Yeah, this is probably a good time to watch it, yeah.
That will be the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
But then on December 13th, the next season of Singles Inferno is coming out on Netflix.
I'm so excited.
Which is what is Singles Inferno, Sarah, for people that don't know?
Singles Inferno is our villain origin story? No, our podcast origin story. But also it is a Korean dating reality show where a bunch of ridiculously attractive people go to an island that is supposed to be terrible. It's not. It's just a beach, and they have to cook their own food. But they have to go through a series of they have to play some games or randomly pick each other for things. And anyway, if they couple up appropriately, they get to spend the night in what is it called, Paradise or whatever.
Yeah.
They just get to go to a fancy hotel together and spend the night getting to know each other and have basically a date while whoever is left behind is just on the beach cooking their own food and still hanging out and having an okay time. It's not really bad for anyone, but they make it sound like, oh, we're in hell. It's nah, you're just having a nice beach vacation.
Yeah.
But yeah, the goal at the end is for people to couple up and that's like, there's no one winner or anything. It's just like, congratulations, you picked each other. Good job. This is definitely a functional relationship going forward.
Yeah.
But it is fun. And we talked about the first season a lot when it came out. And that's when we went, we should do a podcast.
Yes. But we didn't. We had already talked about Singles Inferno enough that we didn't.
We
didn't cover Singles
left.
Inferno 1 on this podcast. It was far enough in the past that we didn't feel like doing it. But yeah, Singles Inferno 2. So on December 13th that comes out. I think after we do Hawkeye and that's out and everything, I think we'll be doing in Singles Inferno next. I don't think there'll be time in between. Now, I don't know how many episodes of Singles Inferno we plan on covering. I guess it depends on how good the new season is.
We might go crazy. This might just be a Singles Inferno podcast for a while.
So I think, if I remember correctly, I think the schedule for the original season was like 2 episodes were released like every Saturday for like 5 weeks. Mm-hmm. It was like 10 episodes. So we will at least cover, I think, the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And they're like an hour each, so it's not going to be like a total recap of it, which is going to be like highlighting our favorite moments kind of deal.
And me probably talking about how I hate someone, which is what
dominated
our personal conversation with the first
pick
season.
Who our favorites are and who'd we want to go to paradise with. Yeah, it'll be a fun time. Yeah, but I don't know how long we'll be stuck on Singles Inferno, depending on how much we get into it.
Just potentially brace yourselves. It might just be that for a little while.
But for those who are waiting for Sarah's next pick, the Sarah fans out there who like Sarah's picks for the podcast, we will, once we wrap up Singles Inferno, Sarah will pick a new show, and we will continue with the normal format of things.
But I do feel like Singles Inferno is a me pick. It's also
but
pick. We're both excited about it.
It's not, you're not introducing a new show to me. That's
true.
what we're picking. Yeah. And the other programming note that we may get to on this podcast eventually is because we talked about it before, is the Pitch Perfect TV show.
All right.
Called Bumper in Berlin. I believe is officially out. It came out on November 23rd. And I think it just dropped every episode. It's 6 episodes. It's on Peacock for people that want to watch it. That's the one with it's Adam Devine as Bumper.
Yes.
And I saw a clip of it, which made me think, okay, I'm going to like this show. It also has Jamila Jamil, a.k.a. Titania from...
Yes.
from She-Hulk.
Tahani from...
yes, originally.
The Good Place, yeah.
Yeah. Nice. So from the clip I saw of it, I liked it. So I think I'm going to enjoy it, even though it's not the full cast of Pitch Perfect.
It's an offshoot.
Yeah, and it's only 6 episodes, so I don't know. Yeah, it's not like
not a big commitment.
I don't know what it's not a huge commitment. I don't know how long or if they have more plans for it than just that. But yeah, that's everything.
Cool.
That I have for now. Are you ready?
I am so ready. I have had the Carmen Sandiego song stuck in my head.
Okay, so what is the Carmen Sandiego song for you?
I think you have to put a clip in here in post, but they did a game show for children in the 90s, and the theme song was a barbershop quartet singing "Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego?" So that's like embedded in my head and my soul forever.
Let's play that for the people right now, okay?
Okay.
Here is the song that Sarah wants everybody to have stuck in their head.
Well, she sneaks around the world from India to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
There it is.
Oh, I love it so much.
That is not the that's not the vibe of the show we're about to talk about, though, is it?
Oh, not at all. Yeah. But it's an important moment in its history, I think.
Yeah, I definitely know this song and have heard it a bunch of times, and I feel like, but I have like no memories of watching any of the old Carmen Sandiego content. I played the video games.
Oh yeah, I played the video games. But I know I watched this show, but I have no memory of the show other than these guys singing the song.
Yeah, it's weird. only the theme song that I remember, yeah. And I don't think the theme song is in the video games. It's like only...
Yeah, it's only in that one show.
Yeah. All right, you want the full breakdown of this?
Yes.
Okay.
Give us the breakdown.
So Carmen Sandiego, this came out and the one we're going to talk about came out in 2019 and finished up in 2021.
Oh, it's done?
Yeah, it is done.
Okay.
The one we're going to talk about is an animated action-adventure television series with educational elements. That's how it is categorized. It is rated TVY7, so it's a kids show, but a good kids show. That's what I'll say. It is a look at Carmen's backstory that is told from her perspective. And how old would you say Carmen is in the show? Like a teenager?
I would say, yeah, she'd have to be like late teens at the latest, even.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. So she's like, it's perspective as a teenager. Now, this is the 4th Carmen Sandiego television show, Sarah. So here, I'll go through the 3 previous ones, all from the 90s, so it's been a while.
Yes.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Well, that's probably the one that people would say if they had to name one. It's a half-hour children's television game show based on the Carmen Sandiego computer game series. The computer game series was first.
Yes, I think that they made a whole bunch of games, and that started like in 85 and just continued through the 90s. They were pumping games out.
The Where in the World Carmen Sandiego ran from 1991 to 1995 on PBS. The show won 7 Daytime Emmy Awards. That's pretty incredible.
Dang.
Yeah, the show is not only... It doesn't seem like a show that'd be super successful or like actually win awards, but it actually... a few of these actually did. In 2001, TV Guide ranked Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego number 47 on its list of 50 greatest shows of all time.
Dang.
Jeez,
that's
right?
Unexpected.
Yeah. The kids' television game show was the top 50 shows of all time. That's incredible.
That's amazing.
And then listen to this. This was
a
fun info on the wiki. The show was created partially in response to the results of a National Geographic survey that indicated Americans had alarmingly little knowledge of geography.
Oh, that sounds right. Yeah. I
With 1 in
agree.
4 being unable to locate the Soviet Union or the Pacific Ocean.
Okay, that's a lot worse than I thought it was going to be, but
Jesus.
okay.
The show's questions were verified by National Geographic World, who also provided prizes to the contestants in the form of subscriptions to their own magazine. There weren't high stakes on this children's game show.
No.
Sarah, are you still part of the Wordle phenomenon? Do you do the Wordle every day?
No, I've fallen off of Wordle.
Fallen off the Wordle. I also fell off the Wordle. But what I do still do is the Worldle.
Oh, I can't do it. I can find the Pacific Ocean, thank you very much. But I am no good at
Can you find the Soviet Union?
Well, it doesn't exist.
Oh, the
anymore,
good
but
job.
yes.
See, that was a trick question. I really enjoyed the Wordle. Now it's hard. So what it is, it's they just give you the silhouette of a country or territory, and then you have like 6 guesses to get it right. But
like when you put in a guess, doesn't it like tell you how far away your guess is from the real place?
Yeah, it tells you how many kilometers you are away from the correct answer and what cardinal directions. So it gives you one of the 8, like north, south, east, west, or like northwest, southwest. Yeah, the eight directions. It gives you one of 8 directions. So if you understand the world map a little bit and you know some countries in the area, you can like kind of get it even if you don't know the silhouette. But I enjoy doing that every day, and I'm not necessarily good at it, but I'm getting better because I do it every day. So it's
maybe I should start doing it because I tried it for a little while when I first heard about it, and it was bad. It was just bad.
When you do the Wordle, it's like you want to just get it right every day and feel good about yourself. When you do the Worldle, it's just about educating yourself.
That's true.
That's how I go about it. But then, that ran from 1991 to 1995. In 1996, though, they came back with Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego, which was basically the same show.
Still a game show.
Still a game show, and it replaced the old show. Maybe it was more about history. It says it was loosely based on the computer game with the same name. So there was a computer game called Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego.
Yes, the games did branch out.
That would make sense if it was more historically based knowledge, since it's Where is Time. But also in the 90s, from 1994 to 1999, there was a animated television series based on the computer game series called Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego, which aired on Saturday mornings on Fox.
I am not sure if I ever saw this.
Yeah, I looked at pictures of it and I feel like I must have seen episodes of it, but I could not tell you any of the dynamics or
Yeah, same.
like after watching this show, I'm like, wait, is Carmen Sandiego a good guy or bad guy in the animated series, Sarah? What do you think?
Oh, everything before this new show, she's a bad guy.
You think so? Okay.
Oh,
I'm not 100% sure, but
she's like in charge of the stealing, and like at least in the games, like you're hunting her down as like the agent trying to find her and prevent her from stealing things.
Okay.
She is a baddie.
So you think they just like kind of rewrote the whole Carmen Sandiego lore when they came out with what we're about to watch?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
100%. I have no proof, but that's my gut.
But Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego won a Daytime Emmy Award for Outstanding Children's Animated Program in 1995.
Dang, Carmen Sandiego's getting awards
Carmen
all over the
Sandiego's
place.
crushing it.
These sound like some big shoes to fill for this new show.
But in the 2019 Carmen Sandiego that we're going to talk about here, they do kind of pull like a mashup of characters from all the different shows and video games throughout the years. So I didn't look up specifics on any of the characters, but apparently I feel like if you're more in tune with the Carmen Sandiego history, there are actually good like shout outs and reusage of things that would make the show even more interesting potentially. I don't even I like the show without even fully understanding the lore of Carmen Sandiego. But the show we're talking about today is 4 seasons. They came out with 4 seasons in like 3 years.
Wow.
They cranked it out pretty fast. 32 episodes total, 24 minutes per episode. Not too long. But the spread of episodes per season is weird. It's like 9, 10, 5, and 8.
Oh, that is
if you just watch it on Netflix, I don't even know if you'll notice if you just keep watching.
True.
But and then on Netflix, there's also a special separate title called Carmen Sandiego To Steal or Not to Steal. Did you see this when you were searching for the show?
Did not.
You didn't? Okay, it's one episode, but it's an interactive Netflix adventure.
Ooh.
Where Carmen will like stop at certain points and then you get to like choose your own adventure like story kind of thing.
Interesting.
I did do it. It was weird. I feel like I don't know if it was the first time Netflix ever did that or just the only one I've ever done, but it's an interesting idea.
A couple other ones.
Oh, they have? Okay. That's just I've only ever done the Carmen Sandiego one, but it's like the same characters from the series that we're about to talk about. So
okay.
But it's under a separate title, so you have to search Carmen Sandiego and see the 2 results and go to it if you want to do the interactive adventure. But yeah, that's all I have on the history of Carmen Sandiego.
That was a lot. I'm impressed. I didn't know about all the awards. I'm really
the awards
surprised
shocked me. I did not know about the awards.
That's pretty good.
Okay, are you ready to start talking about episode 1 of Carmen Sandiego? Okay.
Yeah. Episode
1 and 2 of Carmen Sandiego is titled Becoming Carmen Sandiego, Part 1 and Part 2.
Yes. So
these first 2 episodes are a little bit different than the rest of the series, but you get the vibes of the series from these first 2 episodes.
It sets everything up real well.
Do you want to talk about the kind of style of this show before we get into like what actually is happening?
Yeah, I would say the art style reminds me of Samurai Jack, if you've seen that.
Okay, yeah.
Where like the backgrounds have like a lot more texture than like the foreground characters, and they look a little like they're painted, and it is a style that appeals to me because I love Samurai Jack. There's probably some other shows that have that too, but that's the big pull for me.
Okay, yeah, that's a good comparison, I think. Yeah, I have not watched Samurai Jack, but I see the vibes. Yeah, yeah, I love this animation style. I didn't really know how to describe it, but I really like it.
Yeah.
And then I would say, even in like the very beginning music that we get, it has like a noir style feel to it. Yeah, even though it's like a kid's show, so it's not that serious. I associate noir with being a little serious, but
yeah, that's fair.
There is like this show is, I guess, centered around more drama than comedy for sure, but
they do weave like little jokes throughout though, so
it's not like super dark drama or anything like that. You have to go watch the first 5 minutes to get the art if you want to go see what the art style looks like. But I really like it, which is, I think more than anything, just the style of this is what kept me watching, at least for the beginning, until I really got into it. But yeah, how do we start?
We start on a European street at night, and there's a guy driving a car, and he's talking about how Carmen Sandiego in the past few weeks has robbed millions of euros combined from a Swiss bank, an art gallery in Cairo, and from a Shanghai museum, which I heard a Shy Guy museum, which was amusement park. A Shanghai amusement park. And I heard as a Shy Guy amusement park, which was a weird mental moment. I had to figure out what was going on. I also don't know how you rob an amusement park.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. How do you rob an amusement park?
She managed it.
And this guy is in a car with a woman as well. Did you get the names of these two? I just wrote them in from the beginning of my notes since I knew who they were, but
I got them eventually. So this man, who I refer to briefly in my notes as the smug man, is Chase Devereaux.
Devino.
I've forgotten.
French.
I know it's
they're
French.
in France.
I can't pronounce anything.
You said Europe earlier. This we find out this is France specifically.
Yes. And then her name, I think, is Julia.
Julia Argent.
Ooh, there you go.
Which, whenever I type it out, I want to spell it as agent. but and because they are agents of Interpol.
Yes, they're not just shit talking Carmen in a car. They are trying to find her.
Yeah, and their basic dynamic is like Devino is like the hard nosed like detective guy who just thinks criminals are criminals, and he's not interested in critical thinking, and he basically comes off as like the goof in more of the scenarios than not. And then Julia is like the critical thinker who is trying to look past the fact that Carmen Sandiego is a thief and like try to figure out, okay, why is she stealing these things? And she thinks there's something more than meets the eye.
Yes.
Here.
But she's also new at the job, so he doesn't take it seriously a lot of the time.
Devino is, I guess, her superior. Is that the dynamic here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Possibly. I don't know how that works. They might just be partners, but at least he feels superior.
He feels like he's superior, yeah. But then after he's done monologuing a little bit about giving us who Carmen Sandiego is, Julia jumps in and she adds to it and says, she would then vanish without a trace from all these locations, except she would always make public appearances before she committed each crime, like the day before, I guess. And she would always be wearing a scarlet coat and fedora.
Yes, and specifically, she appeared at a nearby cafe today. And I think it's at this point that Julia gives us some information on where we are, which is Poitiers. I can't pronounce French.
I think that's right, Poitiers.
And she gives us some details about the city and what it's famous for. It's very Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah,
it's just like, we're here. It's famous for this museum, and maybe you want to go shopping here. And Chase interrupts her and is just like, stop talking about boring things that don't make sense to anyone.
So it's like, it's still like trying to be an educational show, but it's also like making fun of the fact that it's an educational show at the same time. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. Eventually you just like don't even notice the silliness of just like them spewing facts for no reason, essentially.
Acting like a travel agent or something. Like.
Yeah. I think at some point in the conversation, Devino says, "Who is Carmen Sandiego?" So
yes.
They throw the lines in there.
Whenever they want to know a location, it's where in the world is, and it's either Carmen Sandiego or where in the world am I, or it's just always where in the world.
And I think he says, "Who is Carmen Sandiego, and why does she wear such bold colors and risk public appearances?" and stuff like that. So he does think about it, but Julia actually thinks it means something, and he's just confused.
Yeah, he's like, she's not acting like a proper thief. What?
Yeah, and then I think Devino starts monologuing again and going on and on and on, and then Julia looks in the rearview mirror and sees Carmen in the streets behind them.
Yes. And she like even tries to tell him a couple times, but he's too busy monologuing and being so sure of himself that she has to yell at him at some point.
But Carmen gonna like grappling hook up to the. He's got like a Batman style like grappling hook, which is like zips her straight up. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have to like walk up the building or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They go after her, but she's on the roof. They can't really do anything. So
yeah, I do like this scene where she's just like easily parkouring across things. and like Chase is chasing her, and he's just like, she'll jump across a thing with ease, and he'll get close and be like, oh no, and then like come back and run at it again, and then like go oof, and it's just like a fun dynamic.
Yeah, he's not the acrobat that Carmen is. For sure.
I guess part of Interpol training should now just be like, can you run across all the roofs so you can catch these thieves as they disappear?
But Carmen pretty much isn't worried about Devino. She just like gets enough space in between them, and he goes on top of the roof, and then a voice comes through her earpiece and is talking to her. Who's talking to her, Sarah?
Well, the name we get is Player.
Yeah.
And this seems to be some sort of hacker kid. And actually here, I have notes on voice actors who are in this. Player is voiced by Finn Wolfhard. That's his last name. He's Mike from Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
And then Carmen is actually voiced by Gina Rodriguez, who is Jane in Jane the Virgin, which is a show I haven't recommended yet, but will be a future episode eventually because I really like that show.
Okay. I was also looking at the voice actors for this, and I saw her, and I saw that show, and I was like, I feel like Sarah's watched that show, but I wasn't sure. Those two I did not recognize, though.
Yeah, I did not recognize them. I just went to look who was, see if there was anyone, and I went, oh yeah, I know who these people are.
So Player is basically like the guy in the chair.
Yeah, feeding her all the information.
Or the guy at the computer, aka the hacker, or the tech support guy. Or yeah, I think more often than not, Player will have the educational elements of the show, where you get to kind of like see the geography on his computer screen, and then he'll quickly mention some fact about the location that Carmen is in or is going to or something.
Right.
That's Player is usually the tool for the educational stuff. But basically Player is going to be leading Carmen via his satellite hacking system or whatever he has to the next heist location.
Yes.
And then going forward though, in this show they refer to everything as a caper.
Yes.
Which
Capers.
I'm assuming is consistent with video games and old shows, but maybe not.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah. Caper just means a crime, I believe. It's like a slang term for a crime.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Or I think it is more often than not related to stealing something, though, I think.
Oh, okay.
More specifically. Like, you wouldn't do a caper that is a murder, I don't think. You'd do a caper that is stealing.
The stealing. Though. Okay. A stealing crime. There we go. And then so she goes to I think we find out later, it's just like an apartment building, actually, weirdly enough.
Yeah, I thought it was a museum because it's got like this big gate out front and it's got like these fancy pointy windows on the roof, but it is just an apartment.
Yeah, it was weird because she had a moment where she was like looking at a famous landmark, like a cathedral or something. Mm-hmm. But then Player didn't tell her to go to the cathedral. She just went somewhere else.
Yeah, it was just a geography moment, really.
Yeah, it was just a geography moment, yeah. And there's a moment where she just like takes out like lipstick with like a USB drive and plugs it into like an alarm system, and then Player just like disables the alarms like with So Player's basically just like a tech god. Like
pretty
you just
much.
have to accept that this little boy is insane.
Yes. But yeah, she like drops down into this apartment that is fancy and looks like a museum, and like Player tells her to watch her step, and then she says, watch my step, and then a bunch of masks like spit arrows at her or something.
Yeah, there's this place is like booby trapped.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure of the nature of this trap. Like, she didn't step, it was just literally like she said something and it was sound activated or something. But
okay, I got you.
She's able to pick up a shield and block her, she does not get arrowed.
Yeah.
She's good at her capering
She's too
job.
good for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she's able to find a hidden safe behind a weird looking wall, and then she uses a hacking device that Player may just help her to basically hack the safe.
Yeah,
essentially. And they get in, they open the safe, and they see a giant diamond called the Eye of Vishnu.
Yes, it is big and shiny and probably worth a whole lot of money.
Yes, and Carmen goes over to take it, but then she briefly gets distracted by something else that's much less shiny.
Yes, we don't get to see what it is, but she's like, ooh, this is something I thought I'd never see again.
Oh, we don't see it here?
We don't see it here.
Do we see it before it comes up later?
Nope. We see what
really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, I wrote down what it is right here, but maybe I just used my memory.
I think you might have just used your memory.
Okay. I'll say what it is right now. It doesn't really matter. It's basically a set.
Yeah,
it's basically a set of Russian nesting dolls.
Yes.
That she recognizes for some reason. And then this is the moment Devino is like fumbling his way to the scene. Like he is on his way to this apartment and knows she's in there, but
he like comes in on the first floor and tries to take an elevator, but it's like the slowest elevator. He gets very upset at it. And it's pretty funny.
Devino has a bunch of just like goofy moments in this show where he's like trying to be good at his job, but it's struggling. But he finally gets in. And then I laughed at this part because he just like busts through the door and sees Carmen like closing up a sack with something in it, and he's just like, "Stop, thief!" But like, it's only him and her there. Like, it's not like it's like something you would say on the street, like a busy street, if someone was running away, right? You'd be like, "Stop, thief," and like hope somebody helped you. But he said, "Stop, thief," and it's only him anyway, so it doesn't help at all.
And she definitely doesn't stop.
yeah. They like run at each other, and Carmen just jumps past him easily, and then also manages to like pickpocket his badge while she was like doing a flip over him.
It's very impressive.
Yeah. She's Devino is in over his head here, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then she parkours away, and she actually leads back to the car. Not like purposefully.
Julia's still in the car,
Yeah, Julia's still in the car. And she ends up like jumping off the roof and like paragliding away. But then Chase just falls face first into the car.
Yes.
And smashes it all up. Is not a good time for this boy this evening. And then he does his shouting of, "Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?"
He said the thing. And then they cut to the opening title after he says that.
Yes. Which is sadly not an a cappella group singing those sweet beats.
But it's
from
cool
the 90s.
Noir music.
It is.
I love
It is good.
I love the vibes of this show.
Yeah, it's definitely got good vibes.
I feel like there's a longer opening credits
For like the subsequent episodes.
Yeah, but in these first two episodes, they do like a special title screen for becoming Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah.
But yeah, we come back from the title screen, and Carmen is still hang gliding through the air. She needs to get on a train, and Blair's just like, "Oh, I just bought you some tickets." So she just like lands at a train station and gets on.
She doesn't just land; she like lands and is like immediately changed into different clothes.
She switches so fast, but her civilian clothes are just like she just wears like a red hoodie, so it's like
everything she owns is red. She is committed to the bit.
Not the best costume switch, but. But it helps the viewers know.
Chase figures out like, oh, she must be going to the train station, and so he gets in his busted up car and tries to race to the train station.
Yeah. Throughout the rest of this 2 episodes, Devino is like just going to be in pursuit of Carmen.
Yes.
And maybe catch up later. We'll see.
Yeah.
So Carmen gets on the train. She picks out a spot in the train, one of the cars, and then as soon as she gets set up, she's attacked from behind.
In my notes, I put some Australian Aquaman comes in.
Yeah, that is kind of what he looks like. But he has an electric, like, rod or stick or something, some sort of taser-looking thing. But he uses it to set off an EMP, crazily enough.
And zaps her phone, so we don't get Player for a little while.
This takes Player out of the picture. Carmen can't communicate anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still playing it cool. She does not worry at all, because it turns out this guy is Carmen's old classmate from school.
Yes. She calls him Gray, I think, at this point.
Yes.
And he had left what we know later is the Russian nesting dolls for her to take, and she knew it had a tracking device in it, so she took it on purpose because she wanted him to find her.
Yeah, so basically what these two are going to do is they're going to kind of like reminisce about their school days together, and that's going to be the flashback that we get the actual becoming Carmen Sandiego story.
Because he wants to know how she became Carmen Sandiego, since like when he knew her, she wasn't that. He knew her as Black Sheep. Yes,
he's like, I'm here to capture Carmen Sandiego, or should I call you Black Sheep? And then they go to the flashback, and it goes to Black Sheep, who we know is Carmen, I'll refer to as Black Sheep in the flashback just so people know we're in the flashback
time, yeah.
But we go back and Black Sheep is sitting in like an auditorium and she's getting a introduction speech from this large and tall muscular woman.
Mm-hmm.
And she's talking about that they're being, I guess it's like a, what do you call it, orientation to the school. And she says, welcome to Vile Training Academy for Thieves. She actually says it's for thieves, which is weird. But then
maybe they have a Vile Training Academy for sorcerers somewhere else or something, you know?
Yeah. But she said Vile stands for valuable imports and lavish exports.
Which sounds very silly to me.
Yes, it does sound very silly. And she introduced herself as Coach Brunt.
Yes, and everyone here was handpicked for a 1-year program. Apparently that's as long as it takes to become a master thief.
Yes, and the rules here, there's no contact with the outside world. So she like smashes a phone.
Just like crushes it in her hands to show she's so strong.
Yeah, she's so strong, yeah. And they're going to be using their first names only until they can get a code name.
Yes.
But Carmen already has a code name, and her code name is Black Sheep.
But Brunt calls her Lambkins.
Lambkins.
Because they're friends.
They're friends. And Gray is there too.
Yes. And he makes fun of Lambkins as a name, and then Carmen like grabs him and is like, you got a problem? Like, you can call me Black Sheep. Only my friends can call me Lambkins, because she's a tough bitch and needs to show that, you know, he should respect her.
Dominates him right from the start, yeah.
Yes.
And then we go back to the train really fast. And he's like, how did you even end up in crime school?
I love that he calls it crime school.
Yeah.
That sounds like some shit I would say.
Yeah. And basically Carmen is like, I'll tell you everything I know. And then we go to the longer flashback for the rest of the 2 episodes.
Apparently, she was found as a baby abandoned by the side of the road just outside of Buenos Aires, Argentina, with a set of Russian nesting dolls.
Yes, that was the only belonging on her. And she was brought to an island paradise, which was the home for thieves. And she was raised by a series of nannies, apparently, who would teach her about the world. So she learned like a crap ton about geography and language.
Yeah, because they would all teach her about the places they came from. And so that's the excuse for her teaching us about geography.
Yeah, so it's basically like a gag throughout this where like she has no memories of being anywhere but on this island. But whenever anybody brings up like the name of a city that they were in, she's like, oh, that's from this country.
Yeah.
She knows where everything is in the world despite having never been there, basically.
She knows where everything in the world is except for herself. She has no idea where this island actually is. She's just on it.
And I feel like, they don't explicitly say this, but I feel like she may or may not be able to speak every language.
Yeah, it seems like she's got a lot of language skills.
Yeah, they show her learning different languages, but I feel like, you know, like wherever they go in this show, they will be speaking English. But I think you're supposed to maybe just understand that Carmen is speaking the native language. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know if that's actually true or not. But she was actually, when she was found as a baby, she was found without a name. So they decided to give her the name Black Sheep, Sarah.
Yeah, this is dumb. Like, who are these people that they're like,
who are these
we're going to
people?
just give this child a code name and not like a real name. And we're going to make it one that makes it sound like she's unloved. Like no one wants her.
Yeah.
She's been abandoned. Black Sheep.
And she is the only child on the Isle of Vile.
Yeah. I was really expecting at some point we would find that like one of the people in charge of this school or 2 of them together as a couple had been like, yes, we are your adoptive parents. But no, she's just like, she just lives here. Nobody's really the person responsible for her. No one treats her as though she belongs to them.
They just hired a series of nannies that seem to rotate in and out for whatever reason.
Seems like a major bummer.
It wouldn't be so bad.
Maybe, but I don't know. I feel
She
like
knows
she's very lonely.
All the world geography and language. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, but does she have any like emotional connection to people?
I think we find out she kind of does. We'll get there.
Yeah, with Coach Brunt,
Coach
I think
Brunt,
is the closest, because she thinks that Coach Brunt is the one that found her.
Yes. Yeah, she's a child on this island that is a school for crime and thieves.
And I guess like the people who come here are like college-aged kids, like maybe older teenagers. It's unclear.
They keep referencing like, oh, the 40 thieves or something.
Oh yeah, like 40 thieves graduate every year or something.
Yeah, but they're part of. She ends up being in this like weird like 1 year program, which seems to be like a separate program. I don't know. They didn't get into the whole dynamics of the school, but she's basically going to be part of a 1 year program, which only has like 5 other students in it.
Well, I think I think they just bother showing like the 5 other students because at the end when we figure out who graduates and not, like there's a lot more people there.
Oh, okay. Maybe there's like, maybe just like multiple classes that all like rotate. They only go together for whatever reason.
Yeah, like they're like together in a dorm together, and I think that's just who we focus on, but there's theoretically a bunch of other groups of kids or adults or whatever.
But basically, from the time she was a child, she got to like, she didn't go to classes, but she was like hanging around the school and like picked up things here or there. So she's actually like very talented in thievery and stuff like that, stuff related to that, even before she even attends the school.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, she doesn't know who found her as a baby, but she thinks it's Coach Brunt because Coach Brunt's the nicest to her, basically, is what it seems like. And we get a little like weird sequence of events where she's like pulling a prank on somebody as a kid and she gets chased, but then Coach Brunt like saves her. But the main thing that happens in this sequence is that the guy ends up dropping his phone because he was like visiting the island for the day or whatever. And she just like
steals
picks it up and takes
phone.
it. And hides it in her Russian nesting dolls.
Yeah, she doesn't really do anything with it. Like she doesn't try to like call or.
Well, I guess at this point she maybe she didn't even know she wasn't allowed to have a phone because she doesn't find that out till she goes to school. It seems like.
Oh, yeah, she might not even know what a phone is. Like, because none of the people who are enrolled there would have their phones, so she wouldn't be watching other people using phones.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, it's just like, oh, here's this thing I have. Let me hide it away.
Yeah.
But one day, it like rings. You hear a little buzz from inside her Russian nesting doll, and it's a text that I don't know if you wrote down what it said. I didn't write down what it said, but it's player who has hacked in and been like, haha, I hacked in. You better like beef up your security because he says he is a white hat hacker, which is a real thing where people try to hack into places and then go, hey, it was real easy to hack in. You should fix this. And that's essentially what he's trying to do, but he doesn't know what he's hacking into.
You know, is this a business for player? Like, does he get them to pay him to beef up their security afterwards?
I think he's just a child.
You think so?
Like, I don't know. Like, it's possible. Like, but usually with those sorts of things, you'd like contract with a company ahead of time instead of just being like, haha, I found your thing. Give me money. Like that sounds a little more black hat than.
What made me think that he like must have a successful situation going on is that like I think when he bought the tickets for the train, he bought like first class tickets, and then Carmen was like, "Ooh, first class, fancy." And he was like, "My treat." like he had money to just like splurge on.
Well, at that point, I had assumed that like he was part of like he and Carmen were like stealing things and selling them and getting money. So I just assumed that's what it was from.
Oh yeah. Okay, they're heisting together. That's why they got so much money. You're right. Okay.
I mean, except I'm not. We'll get to that later.
27 layers of encryption in order to call the phone in Carmen's doll. And then, I don't know if we're supposed to just believe him, but he tells Carmen that he is located in Niagara Falls, the Canada side.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get to learn that that's in Ontario.
Yeah.
Which I would not have been able to say off the top of my head if I learned that
Carmen
in the show.
Could. Because she
Carmen knew that.
A Canadian nanny at some point that told her all about it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so this basically starts them like being internet friends, you know, like they're just texting and calling occasionally, and like this is her one friend she's made in life, I think.
Yeah. And then she also decides separately, unrelated to player, that she wants to attend the school now because she's sick of watching 40 thieves graduate every year, and she's like, I'm better than them. I should be allowed to just go to school. Because I think technically she's not old enough. I don't know what age you're supposed to be.
I also don't know what age she is. So whatever it is, it's not quite old enough for whatever the requirement is.
Yeah. But she basically goes to the vile faculty council to request acceptance to the school.
Are 5 of them. There's
5 of them, yeah.
Coach Coach Brunt, Professor Maelstrom, which is voiced by Liam O'Brien.
Yes.
Who, if you listen to or watch Critical Role, you will know who he is. Also, as most voice actors, he's done a lot of other things, so I don't know.
Yes.
Then there's Countess Cleo, Dr. Bellum, and Shadow Sun.
Oh, you got all their names. I did not get all their names.
Yeah. I went back and wrote that down later.
Nice. Now, they refer to themselves as the faculty.
Yes.
I don't know if this is the entire faculty of the school. It might be the entire. I guess there's only 40 people, 40 students. I guess this could be the entire faculty of the school.
Solid maybe. I don't know. It's the only faculty we ever see.
Yeah.
But yeah, they debate amongst themselves if she should be allowed, and Shadow Sun is not about it. He's just like, nope. But everybody else comes around.
Yeah, I think one other person was a little hesitant too, but they were not as against it as Shadow Sun is. But this council is a democracy, so they vote on it.
And she gets in.
By a vote of 4-1, she is allowed into the school. I wrote down the descriptions of some of these faculty members.
Oh, hit me with it.
We met Coach Brunt. She's tall and large and a muscular woman. And she's dressed like a gym teacher. Right?
Yes.
Right? Yeah, she has a whistle and everything, I think. And then Professor Maelstrom is an older guy. He's got really pale skin with white hair.
He looks like a stereotypical spooky evil
guy. Exactly, yeah. And then Shadow-san is a middle-aged samurai looking guy.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the other two, I didn't write down their names, so I didn't write their descriptions, but one of them is going to end up being like an art expert, and then the other one's a tech person.
Yes. Dr. Bellum seems to invent things, and Countess Cleo seems like the fancy lady who knows about the fancy things.
Yes. Oh, yeah. She's in. So she's going to pack her things and move into the dorms, and she's going to meet her classmates, which includes Gray.
Yes, and also a sassy lady she almost gets into a fight with, but then doesn't.
She makes friends quickly. Well, Gray ends up being friends quickly. I guess this was after the
orientation.
Beat him up. Yeah, so they so he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be friends with you now because you you kicked my ass basically." But then some random other girl, which is the only other girl I think in her group of classmates that we get to see, she for some reason is. They become enemies very fast for no reason at all, basically.
Yeah.
And then we get a cool montage of all the different classes that they have at the school.
And there's they're learning origami to be good at pickpocketing.
Yes. With Shadow-san.
Yes. Then there's self-defense, which is just self-defense.
Yeah. With Coach Brunt. That was
Yes. And then there's Countess Cleo teaching them how to tell the difference between valuable things and fake things. And then there's some sort of invention/weapon class.
Yeah, that one was
Bellum.
Yeah.
And then there's a tactics class is what I wrote down. I don't really know.
I think we only get one shot of this Professor Maelstrom's class, and he's specifically teaching them to do a bait and switch with so it's you have a briefcase full of nothing, or it's full of something that matches the weight of the briefcase full of money, and then you do a bump, or you they put their case down, so you swap it out, and then they don't even notice. Basically, it's the bait and switch. And Black Sheep is still talking to Player every now and then. Yeah. And, just because they're friends.
And she seems to be having the best time, she's getting to be friends with her roommates. She's still talking to Player. She's learning all the things. She's still doing pranks, but getting into trouble for it now.
And one time when she's talking to Player, she has to leave and go to class. And she's she says to Player, "Oh, sorry, I have to go. I have my Infiltration 101 class." And then Player's like, wait, what kind of school did you say you go to? But like she never answers. Like,
Yeah.
Claire seems super invested in like figuring out what the heck is going on with this girl.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But he's not super pushy about it, I guess. They just chat like friends, even though he has no idea who this super suspicious girl is on the other side. Infiltration 101. I don't know who teaches Infiltration 101.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. But... we didn't get to see that. But we do learn, so based on the sequence earlier we got where she's like pranking somebody with water balloons or whatever, she basically teaches her classmates how she pranks this as a child, how she used to prank this person that arrives to the island every year. And we find out that this woman that arrives every year, her name is Cookie Booker, Vile's bookkeeper.
Because she cooks the books. Oh, there's so many pun names in all of like Carmen Sandiego.
Yeah. Well, then they make fun of this later, though. We can get into that. Yeah. And then we learn that this Cookie Booker arrives to the island on December 1st every year, and she needs to do this like data drive handoff that they don't trust to do over like to send electronically.
Yeah, she brings a hard drive and like uploads their financial info or something. I was never clear on how this actually worked and if it made any sense.
I think I can just kind of tell you. I think the idea is that they have like operatives out in the field that are not in the island, and they're like collecting data, and I guess they come up with the Booker people kind of like come up with like potential heists or like things that are valuable worth stealing, essentially.
Yeah, okay.
And basically like they come up with like a year's worth of things that they could do for the next year, and they bring it to this island and they upload it, but they have to like physically hand off the data because they don't trust to do it anyway, and they have to arrive to the island by boat because they don't want to be detected by radar. So it's like a super long stealth handoff of this data drive. And Black Sheep knows all about it, but all she does is just just waits till this lady gets off the boat and throws water balloons at her. That's all she does. And the lady is always, every year, she's always wearing like a fancy clothes, like a coat. And whatnot. But this time around, I guess since she's an actual student, she like gets in actual trouble.
Yes, especially because she had classmates with her, and Shadow-san tries to get her expelled.
Yes.
For this.
Shadow-san is so against Black Sheep. It's crazy.
Does not like her at all.
Yeah. But basically Gray stands up for her and says we egged her, we made her do it. So then they're like, we can't expel them all. So they just give them detention instead. And at this detention, since they're like forced to talk, they come up with their code names. And they even make fun of Crackle. The first one they try to come up with is Crackles, and they do a bunch of like pun names. And then he gets really excited. He's like, "No, I have it. I'll be Graham Crackle."
Because Gray is short for Graham, and
I guess he became skilled using the electric rod that the science engineer lady.
Some electricity-based name. Yeah.
But then they're like, really, dude? You're gonna come up with you're gonna use a pun as your name? Nobody's gonna take you seriously.
So he just goes by Crackle, and I'm like, I also do not take this seriously.
Yeah, exactly.
But okay, child.
And then I wrote down the rest of the names. You ready for these rest of these names?
Oh, I am ready.
Okay, there's Le Chèvre, or it's a French name, I think.
And I'm assuming it means goat.
Yeah,
I don't know what it actually means.
It means the goat because he's master at climbing.
Yes.
He can climb anything, I think, is his skill. Mm-hmm. And then we meet El Topo, which means the mole in Spanish, I assume. And he's basically has like tunneling claws, so he can like basically burrow like a mole, like super fast. And then there's Tigress, who is the woman or the girl that became enemies with her. They got a little
fight about
They got a fight like yeah. And I guess she just has claws. That's her ability. Like,
yep.
I like all these guys are also like good, gymnasts, or they're skilled as normal humans too, but
these are their things they've chosen, yeah.
And then the fifth person is Mime Bomb.
Because he's a mime.
He's a mime.
It's just a mime. And I don't know that he ever thieves anything. He just hangs around the school being a mime.
Mime Bomb is one of the best characters in the show. I love Mime Bomb. I think they say later that he's basically like they decided to make him a spy, but it's a super funny dynamic, which will happen later, where he's a spy that's supposed to gather intel, but then he literally, as part of his gag, like he literally does not talk like a mime, so he can only communicate through miming. Even if he finds out secret information, he has to mime it. So
can't even write it down.
It's a very silly decision that they made him a spy. Oh man!
But now that they all have code names, it's time for finals.
Final exam.
Oh, yeah.
And presumably every faculty member gave out some sort of test. But we're really going to focus on Shadow-san's test here.
Yes.
And his test is pretty simple. He has a traditional samurai coat robe thing going on.
But it's got a lot of pockets.
Yeah, I don't know how many pockets. Like 20 pockets, 40 pockets. I don't know. It has a lot of pockets.
An unknown number of pockets.
Yeah. And one of those pockets is $1. And the test is you have to be able to pickpocket it off of Shadow-san. Pickpocket the $1 off of Shadow-san.
But you only have 2 minutes.
And he knows you're doing it, which is like,
yeah,
seems impossible.
The scenario is weird.
And Tigress is going to go first. And she is struggling pretty hardcore.
But it is basically like just a fight, right?
Yeah, it's like a fight where you're also trying to take something off the person.
Yeah.
And she is not able to pickpocket off of him, but she uses her claws to like rip part of his cloak off.
She just steals the whole pocket. Because she also like has glasses or whatever that let her like x-ray vision and see where the $1 is. So that feels like a
Oh, I missed that.
cheating.
Is that what happened? Okay.
Yeah. So that's how she knows to just steal that particular pocket.
Oh, that makes sense. I thought she just got lucky. Okay. And Black Sheep thought that Shadow-san would be critical of this technique. But Shadow-san...
Yeah, there's no actual pickpocketing in the pickpocketing class.
He said, unorthodox technique, but the results are effective, or something like that.
Black Sheep is not happy about this.
It seems as though Tigress has passed the test.
Yeah.
And now it's Black Sheep's turn. And we don't get to see the fight, but next thing you know, they're leaving class, and it turns out Black Sheep failed to get the $1.
Yes. And she actually thinks that he didn't have $1 in a pocket, that he was just like empty pockets because he doesn't like her. Because she says she checked every single one.
Yes. So she's disappointed and confused and worried now.
But Gray, aka Crackle, is like, oh, I'm sure like you did so well in all your other classes that you're gonna pass. It's gonna be fine. But that's not true.
That's not true.
What happened.
They go to the results board. And
yes,
it seemed as I guess there were other people that failed, but within the group that we know, only Black Sheep not passed.
Yes. Even the mime passed.
Even the mime might be the best of all of them. You don't know. But yeah, she doesn't understand. She's confused. She's gonna go back to Shadow-san when he's not paying attention. And she basically just like takes the keys to his office. She pickpockets the keys to his office off. So when he's going to close the door, he's like, "Where are my keys?" and she's like, "You looking for these?" So she basically like does the test again when there's actually something to take. But he's like, "You can try again next year." But no, I'm not. Like he's like determined to make her fail, basically, because presumably like she only failed because of this one failure that she wasn't able to get the $1 off. Like everything else she did well in.
And I'm not sure what she has done to him in her time in this island, but this man does not like her.
Yes.
And he is unwilling to give her a chance to try again.
She's going to be left behind, and all her friends from her class are getting assigned together on their first mission. And she decides that, screw this, I'm sneaking out, I'm going on the mission too. And she successfully gets aboard the helicopter, but Mime Bomb, I guess, wasn't part of the mission. And Mime Bomb sees her sneak off, and we get like see him from the shadows looking.
Yes, he looks so creepy, by the way. Like he's got like a creepy mime smile, and I don't like it. I'm not vibing with Mime Bomb at all.
And that's the end of episode 1.
Yep.
How you doing, Sarah?
I enjoyed this show the whole time.
Nice.
I was doing pretty good. Yeah.
All right. Do you still want to talk about part 2?
I mean, we have to. You can't leave us on a cliffhanger.
Might as well get the origin story fully, mostly completed by the end of this part 2.
Episode 2 starts. She's in the helicopter, exactly where we left off. But she gets a call from Player, who, now that she's off the island and presumably away from whatever was blocking her GPS signal or whatever, he can see her location now. And she's just like, I'm busy.
Yeah, he's like about to tell her where she's been, and she, for some reason, I think maybe something happened on the helicopter where she had to hang up real fast, but she didn't seem like overly excited to find out where she has been this whole time. Or where she was going. Player was about to tell her where she was going.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they get to their location, and all the crime kids are going to parachute off, and she goes, oh, fuck, I don't have a parachute.
Yeah. So she basically has to, like, reveal herself at this point, and she basically just tackles Gray before he can jump out of the thing, so that
she
can use
him out of the helicopter, and she's just like, hold on. It's like, what
I guess
are you doing?
Usually in this scenario, in like a movie or TV show, there would just be like an extra parachute that you could grab, but I guess that wasn't the case here. So she had to piggyback off somebody else, and she was just like, don't let go of me. And he doesn't, fortunately, but he is upset with her.
Oh, very upset.
You're risking our first mission. I guess he's really scared to fail his first mission, and he thinks that Black Sheep is going to ruin it.
Mm-hmm. So he tells her to stay there, and then he goes off for the caper.
And then we cut back to Mime Bomb. I love this scene. Mime Bomb is in the faculty room with all the 5 faculty members, and he's trying to mime what he saw.
And so he mimes a chicken.
Yeah.
And they're like, chicken? Like, yes. And then he like makes a flying motion, and somebody's like, chickens can't fly. It's just like very upset about the direction this miming is going.
Yeah. I didn't write down the specifics of the mime, but there's the situation where it's ridiculous.
But yeah, eventually it was meant to be like flew the coop, and then like for whatever reason, Coach Brunt immediately knew that meant Black Sheep left.
Yeah. Somehow they figured it out.
Why not? Yeah. But yeah, so they send out like cleaners to go and find her and bring her back.
Yes. And I think it's the point where they say, why did we make the mime the spy master?
Yeah.
I think Professor Maelstrom says, alert the cleaners. And the cleaners are going to end up being like the 2 janitors at the school, basically.
Literally cleaners, but also the sketchy kind of cleaners.
They're janitors at the school, and then they also just like, whenever there's a situation that they need to cover up the vile tracks with, they just send out these 2 janitors.
They're crime janitors.
I believe Liam O'Brien also voices the cleaners, aka janitors, on the show. But they don't talk very often. Mm-hmm. He also has a variety of other characters, like minor characters here and there throughout the show.
Oh, yeah.
But his main voice is Professor Maelstrom. So he says, alert the cleaners, and then they cut to the title screen. Part 2, Becoming Carmen Sandiego. And we see Carmen by herself now on the ground after her classmates have gone to the caper. And we find out she's in Casablanca, Morocco. Is that correct?
Not just that. Yes, that is correct. But she like walks a little bit where she can see the like skyline of the city or whatever, and like instantly knows that she's like, I'm in Casablanca, Morocco. And it's like, you don't know this. How do you know?
She's seen pictures, Sarah. What are you talking about?
I mean, from this exact angle of a skyline, like, how many skylines do you think you could identify?
This is her superpower, Sarah. You just have to accept it.
I thought stealing was her superpower, but okay.
Now they have that game geocoding. Do you know that game?
I do not know this game.
Oh, I think it's called geocoding. It's something like that. It's a game where like you're on Google Maps and you just get like a street view of a random spot, and then it's like your job to click on the world map and try to get
on that one too.
Try to get as close as possible to where the street view is somewhere in the world. Yeah, she would nail that game.
Oh, every single time.
That's her superpower.
Every identical back road lined with trees, she'd be able to figure out.
Exactly. And she's walking around, and then she stumbles onto an archaeological site, and she starts talking to one of the archaeologists there. And they're apparently they discovered the Eye of Vishnu at this archaeological site.
Remember
Yes.
from earlier?
From earlier in the future.
She's just like, aren't you worried that people are gonna steal it? And he's like, no, my people aren't gonna steal it. They know how important it is. They know it belongs in a museum. And he gives this little speech about like how like when like it might be worth a lot of money, but like robbing the world of the knowledge that they would get from, you know, this being in a museum, that would be the true crime. And she's just like mind blown by this.
He says, oh, I never thought of it that way before.
Because like I don't think we mentioned this, but like growing up on the island of thieving, like stealing stuff was presented to her like as a game, you know, like it doesn't have big consequences, but you're like trying to just go and do the sneaky thing. Yeah.
And then it takes her a second, but then she also figures out that, oh, this must be the caper. Like they're stealing the Eye of Vishnu as the caper. Because she was never debriefed on what the mission was since she didn't actually graduate.
Right.
But then right as she figures it out, her classmates arrive and they start like, I guess they were like sneakily taking out all the archaeologists out. Like they.
Yes. They were me in every Batman Arkham game.
Yeah.
Just sneak around and take out a guy. Sneak around, take out another guy.
You're knocking them out or taking them out in a way that they don't see you.
Mm-hmm.
And then the El Topo, the mole, just like comes out of the ground and he has the diamond already. So they found it. But then the archaeologist that Black Sheep was talking to, he actually sees everything. And then somebody says, leave no witnesses. And then Crackle like takes his electric rod and just like puts it on some sort of just like setting that would have just disintegrated this guy is what it looked like.
And Carmen's just like, doesn't understand. Like, this was never part of like the training. And she's just like, what are you doing? What do you mean leave no witnesses?
And she like shoves the archaeologist out of the way just in time so he doesn't get blasted by this thing. She saves the guy, but then when she gets up, the cleaners arrive and like basically capture her.
Yeah, so they probably killed him.
They probably killed this guy, but they didn't explicitly show that in this kid's show. But it is kind of implied that happened, but yeah.
Yeah. But then we jump back briefly to present day, and Carmen talks about how disappointed she is in Crackle, because she thought of him as a big brother until that day when she was like, well, I never knew you.
Yeah.
Then we get a mini flashback to graduation when Gray was graduating, and the faculty were telling them that they didn't just get here based on their grades. They also were testing them for loyalty and willingness to go to necessary extremes, and that VILE actually stands for Villains International League of Evil.
Yeah. Oh, I missed the part where it was like, oh, their personalities were a part of the test. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes, because no one or thing must stand in their way.
Yeah, that makes sense why she might have failed, actually.
Also, yes.
I see. Okay.
But yeah, so apparently part of the mission was murder who you have to. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Which everybody was just cool with, even when they just found that out.
Well, that's because they were only there because their personalities dictated that they would be okay with murdering people.
It all makes sense. Okay, here we go. We're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we go back to training again. And then Carmen's like, I guess my entire upbringing was a lie. She's like, stealing isn't a game, especially when you're willing to steal lives. She's like still kind of like half-heartedly trying to like get Gray to come to her side, which is kind of why she wanted Gray to find her.
Wanted him to find her to begin with, yeah.
And I think we get more Devino stuff right here. Like Devino is like still chasing the train, and he like gets to the next train station. He's like trying to intercept the train basically with his car, and he like just misses it, and he's like, yeah, he's getting frustrated.
But the important thing here is that Julia calls him because she's been going over the crime scene, and she says that the apartment is actually full of all sorts of stolen things, and that the apartment is owned by an import-export company. So,
there we go.
And all the places that Carmen has recently robbed have ties to the same company. So, what if she's a thief that only steals from other thieves?
Yes. Julia's putting together.
She knows what's
Devino is like, he understands what she's putting down, but he just like doesn't really care.
he is in a stressful moment of his busted up car trying to.
He doesn't want his cases to be overly complicated. He prefers them to be cut and dry. And then we go back to the train, and we're gonna continue the flashback.
Yes.
Because Black Sheep was taken back to the island, but now they watch her more closely now.
And they took her phone.
And they confiscated the phone. Oh no.
But they still let her like be enrolled in the program, so like she's supposed to do another year.
Well, I think they mentioned that she had to go to like psychology classes with Professor Maelstrom, and they made her do like extracurricular stuff because I guess they're still hoping, because she's so skilled that she's like an asset to them, but they need to like condition her to
murder
be
people,
evil, be evil, basically.
Yeah.
But she decides to go through the motions and pretend that she's doing her schoolwork as normal. But she has some other plans in mind.
Yes.
And then on December 1st,
she
packs for her escape from the island.
But she leaves her Russian nesting dolls behind because she needs to pack light.
Travel light. I like that. I like that moment. You don't need that stuff. Just remember them for what they were. And December 1st, if you remember, Sarah, this is the night that Cookie Booker
shows up,
arrives for the data drive for the island. First step though is she sneaks into the school. Now I don't know if it's nighttime, but it's like a dark, and it's dark because it's like
it is also
like a storm outside.
So it might be dark. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It seems like school is not in session, but she sneaks into the school at night, and she's able to lockpick her way to stealing the phone back, and she's able to call Player.
And she fills him in on what's sort of actually happening, and she's like, what if I told you I was a very good thief?
Yes. And I'm in a school for thieves at this moment. Player finally gets what he's been wondering.
And she kind of asks him to talk about the white hat hacking thing again, because she kind of wants to do that but with her thieving skills, use her skills for good instead of evil.
Yes. She's like sneaking around the air vents and stuff, and it's like right in front of me is a data drive that has information on one of the biggest criminal organizations in the world. Something like that.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I guess you got to use those skills you've been talking about. Something like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she continues to sneak around because the drive gets like moved for whatever reason. So she has to like
Cookie has to take it to the server room to upload the whatever.
Yeah. And she's basically sneaking around the school again, and she runs into Mime Bomb again.
This asshole.
And then I think she puts together in this moment that like Mime Bomb must have been the one that ratted her out the first time.
Yeah.
At first she just like pretends like, oh, I'm just walking around like normal. But then she's like, oh wait, Mime Bomb is going to throw me under the bus. So she like grabs him and just like throws him in a supply closet.
And she like takes a like toolkit from there that he was about to use to like lockpick his way out, and she takes it with her, and it's just conveniently the same shape and size and weight of the hard drive. It is very convenient for the rest of this episode.
So as soon as you see this, you're like, oh, it's time for the bait and switch. Here we go. Yeah. What are we doing here? And then Cookie Booker is getting on an elevator to go up to the server room. So and she has the toolkit. She pretends that she's like an IT person. I guess is what happened.
Yeah, but then Cookie like says something like, oh, you've really grown up, or like to indicate that she recognizes her. So she's like, oh, I can't do that. I have to. So she then like apologizes for all the pranks over the years and like distracts her with that.
And they have a good moment together. It seemed pretty sincere despite the situation,
Despite being used as a distraction for the bait.
Yes, yeah. And then they get to the server room, and Cookie Booker walks out and says some words of advice about being a criminal. She's all about white collar crimes instead of...
Yeah, that's where all the money is, apparently.
Yeah. And then she walks away and says, Arrivederci.
Yes, that's her like catchphrase whenever she leaves.
Italian for until we meet again. And Black Sheep goes back down the elevator. And this wasn't the bait and switch that Professor Maelstrom told them, which is just kind of like out in the open. Like she also had to, it was like a pickpocket plus bait and switch scenario.
Yeah.
With like large items.
Just how skilled she is.
Yeah, exactly. And so she goes down the elevator, and then Cookie Booker walks up to the server installation panel and puts in the
Yeah, she tries
thing.
to plug the hard drive in, but it doesn't work because it's a toolkit.
It's a toolbox. And then she sounds the alarm.
Yes.
And then I think that actually set up more security on the island somehow, and that she wasn't able to talk to player again after that. That was a little weird. But the faculty sees that the alarm came from the server room, so they immediately are worried that it's related to the data drive drop off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Coach Brunt checks all the bunks for the students, and then there's only one student missing.
Yep. It's Black Sheep. Because she's in the sewer trying to escape the same way she did last time.
When they find out it's Black Sheep, though, or they suspect it is Black Sheep, Shadow-san gets super serious, and he goes back to his office and he grabs a katana off the stand.
Oh yeah,
and I was
He's
like, damn, this is
murder
gonna get
her."
intense. Is he really gonna slice her up? What the hell?
Oh, I think he would have sliced her up a long time ago if he felt he could have. He does not like her.
Yeah. So yeah, she tried to take the same pipe she took last time to escape.
But they bolted the grate on because they learned from their mistakes.
Mime bomb strikes again, Sarah.
Freaking mime bomb.
And the whole island is on lockdown, and the cleaners are guarding the doors. So she's kind of at loss. She doesn't know what to do. The plan has gone not perfectly.
Yes, but she overhears Cookie Booker getting clearance to leave from Professor Maelstrom. She's just like, whatever, you do your thing. There's no reason I need to stay here.
Yeah, she seems to not like to be on this island for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, probably because every time she shows up, she gets water ballooned, and it's not a great association.
She didn't get water ballooned this time, but it wasn't raining, so.
Yeah, so she's wet anyway, know?
And the guy, I think Professor Maelstrom's finally like, oh, fine, you can leave. You have clearance to leave. And she's like, great, I'll grab my coat and I'll be off. And Black Sheep hears this part.
Yeah, so she goes back to where she knows the coat is and steals her coat and hat. And it is a red trench coat and a red fedora.
Yeah.
Basically Carmen's iconic
the
look.
origin of the coat and fedora. Let's go.
And we don't see this, but she locks up Cookie in the closet and steals her high heels as well. And then she just goes to try and just walk out the front door.
Yeah.
With confidence, because that's the key to most things.
Here's a tense moment. She has to walk right by the cleaners as she's leaving. And the cleaners are their faces look like they're a little suspicious while she's doing this. So one of the cleaners is it's like, Miss Booker or something, gets her attention. And then he's just like, see you next year.
Yes, it's a very tense moment. And she just goes, arrivederci.
Yes. She thinks fast at her feet. And she said, arrivederci. Which works, I guess. They thought that was a total normal thing for Cookie Booker to say.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks right out the front door.
Yeah, she's making her way to the boat. But somebody finds Cookie in the closet. And then they figure out what's happened. So Shadow-san starts running to the boat to go chase her down.
And I like the line where Professor Maelstrom said, he radios the cleaners like, the lady in red is no lady. That's how they chose to alarm the cleaners.
I mean, that could mean
a lot of things, yeah. So she basically was able to get to Cookie Booker's boat, and
she knocks out the
guy, and then he has the keys to the boat too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point they implied that she had time to defuel
Sabotage
the helicopter or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, the boat can't outrun your helicopter, so they send the cleaners to the helicopter, but they can't turn it on, and it's because she sabotaged it. I don't know when, but she's very, very good at her job.
Yeah. Somehow she did all that, but she gets to the boat. She pulls away from the dock right as Shadow-san was getting there, and he's left standing there on the dock, looking super serious.
Yes, but she doesn't leave. She just pulls back far enough and pauses and gives him an angry look, and she's like, "I pass, you fail."
Yes,
and then she leaves.
Yeah, great stuff. And she's escaped.
Oh yeah.
Once she gets further enough away, she calls player, and she's like, "Where am I?" And it turns out that they are in the Canary Islands.
Which then she's like, oh, off the coast of Africa.
Off the west coast of Africa, yeah. And it's a Spanish settlement.
She knows so much about everywhere.
That was a good one. I hope to get that one in Wordle. I learned where the Canary Islands were.
There you go.
And then players like, oh, if you're going to be traveling, you're going to need a passport. You do have a name, don't you? Then she looks inside the red fedora hat, and there's a little label that says Carmen brand outerwear, Sandiego. So I guess this hat is from like San Diego, California.
Yes.
Okay.
And so she's like, my name is Carmen Sandiego. Burr, burr, burr.
Carmen Sandiego. She says it like James Bond.
Yeah.
And then we go back to the train.
Yes. The train is almost in Paris, which is when Gray said he would murder her or something. I don't know. Once they got to Paris, this is how long she had to tell her story. And then I guess he was going to take her back to Vile or do a murder. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And then he said some stuff that I don't even remember if this is a lie or not, or if we even find out if it's a lie or not. But he's like, they want you back at Vile. They're going to offer you a full pardon. Even Shadow-san is on board, which seems very unlikely.
Yeah, super unlikely.
Super unlikely, yeah. But Carmen refuses and basically just kicks his ass again.
Yeah, they have a little fight on the train, and she kicks him in his face.
And Devino catches up to the train, but he's too late. And he looks out the window of the train as it starts moving away, and he sees Carmen. Or actually, he doesn't actually see Carmen in the coat and fedora though, but I guess he puts together.
Right. Well, she dressed Gray up in her coat and fedora, so he comes in, sees that, and is like, "Oh, I found you," but then like moves the hat and is like, "You're not the woman I'm looking for." And then he sees her in her hoodie outside, and I guess goes, "Well, you're wearing red. It must be you."
Yeah, but I don't know if like for the rest of the show, if like this blew her red hoodie strategy. I don't know.
It wasn't a very strong strategy to begin with, I gotta say.
I think the idea of like her appearing before the crimes is to like, she's trying to almost like tip off the authorities that a crime is about to happen. It's kind of like the idea. I don't know.
Yeah, because if she just stole stuff from Vile, they're not going to be like, "Hello, Interpol, come solve the thing that just got robbed." You know, like, if she hadn't appeared before robbing that apartment, they wouldn't have known.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the angle here. So Julia's going to call Devino again after he's stuck on the train now. And she says the Eye of Vishnu was found in between the couch cushions in the apartment. Yeah, so the bag we saw that Carmen tied up, the gem wasn't even in there.
Nope, it was her Russian nesting dolls.
She did take her Russian nesting dolls back. She feels those belong to her.
Mm-hmm. And Player kind of gives her a little bit of shit about like, "What do you mean you didn't steal the big gem?" And she's like, "It's fine because Interpol will get it back where it belongs." And she also tells him to like send the money from her other heists to the next nonprofits on her list. So apparently every time she steals from Vile, she's just giving the money to charity. I'm going to assume that she keeps a portion to keep her operation going, and that's how Player can buy her first class tickets.
Okay, but, that's fair.
Yeah.
I guess the other heist just like she just stole money on them, like they weren't an object she could return. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like more often than not in the show going forward, like she's going to be taking like an object rather than money, but maybe I'm not remembering correctly. I don't know. But then she talks about how we need to stay one step ahead of Vile while we still have the advantage.
Yes, because they're using the hard drive to pick their next targets.
So they only have like a year of
year
worth of information to be able to be ahead of Vile on. And then Carmen's boat drives away.
But there are some other people on another boat who are following her.
Yes, mysterious men and women. And that's the end of episode 2. I think if you know the lore of Carmen Sandiego, that you can figure out, or you know like what organization that these two people belong to. Are you familiar enough with it?
I did not remember, but I did watch the next 2 episodes, so that I was filled in on who they are.
Acme is the name of. I forget what that stands for, but.
Which once it was in the show, I was like, "Oh yeah, I do remember that from the game."
Yeah. I don't remember Vile from the game, but I'm assuming that's also in the game as well.
Yes. Yeah, except it's like she's in charge of Vile because she's a baddie in the game.
Okay. Are you sure about that though? Because this whole show has me questioning that. Okay.
No, definitely. Because like the point of the games where you were trying to find her and stop her. Like, and that's why Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego was the name, because you were trying to find where she's going to strike next.
Okay.
And it was the 90s. There wasn't a lot of like anti-hero. It was black and white. Things are bad or good.
But are you like Devino or Julia in the video games where like you think you're stopping her, but she's actually stealing for other reasons, but maybe it's like...
I don't think that ever came up in this children's geography game from the 90s.
Do you think that this show is trying to expand the existing lore and not rewrite it? Or like are the games now, the story behind those games are now, oh, Carmen was not actually a bad guy in those games?
Like those games are ridiculous. Like they stole like cities or like landmarks,
the Great Pyramids,
or non-existent things like the Mason-Dixon line. Like,
oh, okay.
Those games were nonsense. There's
okay.
no room for like a real serious.
This is just a fresh
start. Rewriting stuff, yeah.
Fresh start on the franchise here, okay.
Which is good and is what is required. It would be ridiculous if they stuck to the original game stuff.
Okay, all right, sweet. Sounds like you're in, Sarah.
Oh yeah, I'm in. This is good. I like it.
All right, sweet. Our first TVY7 show. 2 thumbs up.
I like the mood. Yeah, 2 thumbs up.
Awesome. All right. That was fun. Anything else you want to say about Carmen Sandiego?
Still got that song stuck in my head.
Any other
reasons
you like the show besides what we already talked about that you didn't get to talk about?
No, I mean, you know me. I love a sassy, strong female protagonist. She is that. I do find, like, in the next 2 episodes I watched, you find her team is bigger than just her and Player. There's like a set of like siblings, from a brother and sister who, they're very from Boston.
They have Boston accents,
strong accent.
What are their names? It's like Ivy and
Zach. Is that right? The other one, yeah. No,
I think they might be from the Fox animated series.
Oh, okay.
But again, like I feel like they might not have been on Carmen's team in that show. So
yeah, you might have been hunting her down.
I think from what I read, like Julia and Devino are previous characters.
Okay.
And I think the 2 Boston siblings may also be 2 previous characters from the lore, but may not be used in the same way that they were.
Yeah, so far the boy sibling is just, his character is just, he's a hungry boy as far as I've seen.
Like he wants to eat stuff.
He's just always hungry. He just needs to eat things. And then the sister is just like tough Boston girl. I don't know. I've not gotten a lot from them yet.
Yeah.
Only 2 episodes, but yeah. So the cast is bigger.
Yes.
But still good times. I enjoyed it.
And then this show has some surprising twists and turns in the plot, I would say.
Really?
Like it's not just like, a formulaic like kids show. There's some plot to the show.
Is there like a satisfying ending? Does it or is it just, well, we're done. These are the episodes.
I couldn't tell you specifically how it ends, but I think there is
okay, that's good.
At least some dynamic between some characters that gets wrapped up.
Nice.
I think we're good. Good on Carmen Sandiego, right?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And we already talked about next time.
Hawkeye Christmas special.
I have not rewatched what we are going to be watching. I want to say we probably have to watch 1 episode.
Okay. Sounds good.
But I will let you know otherwise.
Okay. Do you remember offhand how many episodes there are in this?
Oh, it's part of the Marvel series. I want to say 6. I'll look it up right now.
Okay.
Yep. 6 episodes of Hawkeye.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely 1 episode. These are actually like 50 minutes.
Oh, okay.
It's a variety of minutes, but it's probably averages around 50. And first episode is 51 minutes. So yeah, I think we're only watching 1 episode.
Sounds good.
Fun holiday times.
Oh yeah.
Stars the guy that plays Hawkeye. I'm not remembering his name right now. But also Haley Steinfeld.
Haley, there we go. I was gonna say Joel Osment, and I'm like, that's not right.
Haley Steinfeld. I thought when we got to Hawkeye, this would be the first time we talked about Haley Steinfeld, but we actually watched Dickinson.
Yeah. Thanks to Apple TV Plus.
It'll probably increases your chances of liking it now that you liked her in something else.
Big maybe.
Alrighty. Where can people contact us, Sarah?
People can email us at keepwatchingpod@gmail.com. Tweet at us while there's still a Twitter at Keep Watching Pod, Instagram at Keep Watching Pod, or leave a comment on YouTube also at Keep Watching Pod, because we're consistent and good at setting things up, I guess. And also, if you're feeling it, you can leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We would be grateful. I mean, unless you say some mean things about us, I guess.
Oh, I'd love to hear anything.
Okay, James welcomes mean things. I would prefer not mean things, but you do you.
Okay. Alrighty. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Well, she sneaks around the world from Kiev to Carolina. She's a sticky-fingered filcher from Berlin down to Belize. She'll take you for a ride on a slow boat to China. Tell me, where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
Steal their soul in South Korea, making nutty cooks right on the from the Red Sea to Greenland. They'll be singing the blues. Well, they never Arkansas her steal. The meat come from the jungle. Tell me,
Where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
She go from Nashville to Norway, Bonnet to Zimbabwe, Chicago to
Czechoslovakia and back. Well, she'll ransack Pakistan and run a scan in Scandinavia. Then she'll stick 'em up down under and go pickpocket first. She was the missing misdemeanor when she stole the beans from Lima. Tell me, where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
Tell me where in the world. Tell me where can she be?
Botswana to Thailand, Milan, Vietnam to Mali to Bali, Ohio, Ohio.
Yeah, she flies around the globe, makes you flip and every nation. She's a double-dealing diva with a taste for thievery. Her itinerary's loaded up with moving violations. Tell me, where in the world is
Carmen Sandiego?
Tell me, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Tell me, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where could she be? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?